Namaskar, this is Shilpa Bhavna and I present a really warm welcome to all of you in this distinguished program, Chartered Accountants, The Growth Gears, presented by the Committee for Members in Industry and Business, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India.
ICAI members are known as the complete business solution providers, and with their wide range of knowledge and experience, they can provide various professional services in the areas ranging from accounts to audit, planning to production, marketing to sales, tax to information technology. This is how CAs are considered as the custodians of public interest and welfare, as they discharge all their responsibilities in the best interest of the nation.
In an era where businesses do not adhere to boundaries, travel is becoming an important component for growth. And when this growth is geared up by the right wisdom of knowledgeable expertise, then it results into the development of the country. Despite of the pandemic, we can say that travel is becoming a crucial catalyst for business expansion. And as this is so, MSMEs are keen to optimize this aspect. In the last few years, we have seen many players in the industry who are working towards this right optimization. So today we are meeting up a personality who has the passion of transforming businesses through technology and also by creating disproportionate value for customers. So let's get ready to meet the chartered accountant who runs and operates India's leading travel brands. Make My Trip, Go Ibibo, Red Bus. We are meeting up the co-founder and group CEO Make My Trip, CA Rajesh Mughal.
Being a qualified chartered accountant, CA Rajesh Mughal is an absolute synthesis of professional and technical strive. He is a true believer of India's digital opportunity and made the most of it with his hands-on accomplishments as an entrepreneur into the travel industry, revitalizing the industry after the pandemic and giving hope to the youth for dreaming big. He is also the backer of many young Indian tech companies that are raring to make their mark. He firmly believes that in-depth knowledge and skills learned during the qualification of chartered accountancy has defined the silver line in his career.
So, most welcome to the show.
Thank you, my pleasure.
You are a chartered accountant by qualification.
Yes.
You are into travel industry by profession, and you are a tech savvy by passion. Yeah. So how do you make this amalgamation work?
Pretty interesting, actually. Over the years, it has sort of evolved, to be honest. While the qualification was the foundation, I would say, right? You were back in the days when you were growing up.
Just exploring the things.
Just exploring the things in terms of what could be the best academic options that were there for you.
Right.
And CA happened to be one of the premium sort of professional degrees at that point in time, right?
Even today, sir.
Even today. And I would say pretty comprehensive or holistic in the finance area. Started my career with also Voltas. After Voltas, I joined Aptech. I was there for 5 years.
Okay.
And that was happens to be in computer education industry. And more in the technology space, which was a good breakthrough. And I started to sort of love technology at that point in time. And then maybe I never looked back from that space at that point in time. I mean, specifically talking about more about the technology and the desire to stay related and associated with technology all the time.
So how did you get this MMT as a milestone in your career?
No, that's a great story actually in itself. So after Aptech, after having spent 5 years, I think my first sort of shift towards looking at the business more holistically happened out there, to be honest. And from there on, when I was just looking at for my further career growth, I was beginning to, at least at that point in time, think that I may be not necessarily meant for a large corporate setup, more as an executive. I should be thinking about more setup where there is more ownership, where there is, you're sort of building from scratch. And more like a startup
environment. So there was a call of an entrepreneur from like somewhere deep inside your heart.
Perhaps. I mean, looking back, you could perhaps say that when I met Deep Kalra, who's the founder of Make My Trip. And I think that was the turning point for me.
as he was looking for the founding members, so he selected you. So do you think that your qualification of chartered accountancy was also one of the advantages that he wanted to be in the founding team?
Well, I think, the position that at that point in time, I think it'll be fair to say that he was looking for a CFO position from a role perspective at that point in time, right? So I think CFO with a CA degree was a no-brainer.
Yes, of course.
So that would have, that was clearly an edge.
Since you have said that when you have done your chartered accountancy degree, that was a time when you were just looking for a good academics. For that purposes only, you took up the CA. But today, as you look back, you see that qualification helping you a lot in your entrepreneurship as well?
Yeah, no, it does, and most definitely. And I'll probably try and explain how it helps. See, back in the days when you're studying, when you're trying to focus on and saying what should be your sort of one degree that your course that you want to study, which will set a solid foundation for you.
Right.
From concept standpoint, right? So I think that's really the focus at that point in time. I think after that, what follows is more the application of that knowledge. And that happens in the real-time environment, right? Real life environment. And that is where you then start to learn various other things.
एक बार आपके पास concept है तो उसको फिर सही तरीके से execute भी करना है. And when we are talking about this training course of CA, so you have that knowledge while you are learning in the books, and at the same time when you are doing the articleship, then you have that hands-on on the execution. So what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, no, I think it is a good mix of practical experience, like you rightly pointed out with the articleship program that the CA program has. And definitely very good holistic in the finance and business vertical, I would say. All sub-verticals are nicely covered there. If I have to relate that with my entrepreneurial journey in Make My Trip, so you obviously get numbers very, very well, and it obviously helps you. And you have to run a business, numbers are very important for you as well, right? So in terms of performance, in terms of deep analysis and all of that, and from a decision-making tool standpoint, right?
Right.
So, all of those things come very handy. But there are many other areas that CA program also has, where then people, after completing their chartered accountancy degree, they actually pick up different verticals for their career progression. So, somebody becomes a, tax expert, somebody becomes an audit expert, somebody does takes up a consulting job. So there are enough branches that you can branch out of CA from a career progression standpoint. But if you have to be an entrepreneur, this whole finance orientation, the overall business orientation and the ability to be able to see the business holistically comes handy. Among maybe any other programs as well. But I think CA does a good job of setting up that foundation.
Yeah. Make My Trip is the one with which you have started your, I can say, your new horizon to fly. But after that, you have started this amalgamation, and IBBO and Redbus also got associated with you.
Yes.
So what do you see, like these kind of successful handshakes when you do? Your qualification does help you in that, because a lot of the things are told during your course period, which you are now going to execute while working as an entrepreneur.
Right. No, I think that's a good example. And I think the example that you're quoting is more a M&A example. In merger and acquisition, what happens?
Right.
And IBBO Group was a merger with us. And so clearly, that also helps. Knowledge that you had gained while you were studying never goes away. So, there will be, in that particular transaction, there will be a transaction, there will be a situation where you will go back in history and say, okay, this is what I had studied, and maybe that'll come handy. If you look at the entrepreneurial journey per se, at Make My Trip, that was that was one of the key milestones, if you will.
So that's very beautiful, and foundation for anything. Either you are starting yourself as an entrepreneurship journey, or you are starting yourself for the practice. That foundation needs to be very strong. So ICAI is giving you that strong foundation, but along with that, now you need to be ready for the progress. And if you learn one thing each day, then growth is bound to happen. So, sir, one learning each day. So if I'll ask you, what are your learnings each day that you look forward to, that I have to learn this thing today?
Well, and that's a good question again. And you're absolutely right. I think life is full of learning, and every little activity and experience in your day-to-day life also teaches you a lot.
Of
So you
course.
don't really have to look forward to go and see, listen, I have to search and then look for that learning. From my point of view, to be honest, learning has been by more experienced. I, keep observing, and I actually keep learning from every little, small, big, not so big sort of transaction, activity, interaction,
Yeah.
and pick learnings from there.
So the people who are good observers, they are good learners as well.
Yeah, well, you might say that. Yes, I think learning will come from everywhere. It's just that the onus is up to you. How much do you want to learn?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Sir, since you are a chartered accountant yourself, so do you have more CAs in your organization?
Oh, plenty of them. Our CFO is a CA, and then he joined us, Mohit Kabra. At some stage you should probably interview him as well.
Sure, sir. Sure. We would love to.
No, I think he's a great professional, huge amount of experience behind him. He's been running the CFO position and public company now for over 10 years with us now. And then as part of his team, there are plenty of chartered accountants already.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what does your organization expect from a chartered accountant when they join your organization? Because there are plenty of CAs, the aspiring CAs who are watching our program.
Right.
So if they want to come and join Make My Trip or this like leading travel industry, so what do you expect from the CAs in your organization?
Definitely some bit on a particular subject, let's say, within the finance portfolio. If he's looking for a tax expert, then obviously you have to just get deeper into the tax questions and so on and so forth. But more importantly, I think more important for us as an organization is the attitude, the hunger, the passion, desire to do new things, and we would love to have people, let's say, who come to us starting a particular role and then diversifying into different roles as well.
Wow.
Right?
So it's basically like they are not growing into the organization, they are also growing their individual personality traits over here.
Absolutely.
In the starting, like 7 years or so, you are there into completely into that CA profession that you were doing. Then you got this chance to be the founding member of Make My Trip, and you just grabbed that opportunity. So from where that daring came in that I want to change the profession.
So you hit a very important point here. So there is something called risk-taking ability.
Yes.
And there is something, because see, otherwise what happens is, and I would encourage everybody to sort of develop that ability, because then when there is an opportunity, you're not shying away of, there will always be some risk attached to it.
Of
and
course.
before, by the way, MMT, and like I was mentioning earlier, even in Aptech, I had made a transition from a finance role to a business role already.
So I can say you're quite a daring person.
Yeah, well, I don't know whether I'm a daring person or not, but I think it's just a matter of confidence. It's just a matter of, developing interest and then, sort of also taking some amount of risk.
That's so true. And Swami Vivekanand has also said that if you don't risk anything in life, then you risk everything in life. So my dear friends, थोड़ा सा risk जरूर ले लेना चाहिए, क्योंकि क्यों डरूं कि क्या होगा, कुछ ना हुआ तो तजुर्बा ही होगा.
Yes.
And that experience is really
absolutely.
that matters.
Absolutely. That's a great learning experience. In fact, the learning that comes from the failure lasts much longer than the other.
Over a period of time, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has achieved recognition as a premier accounting body not only in the country but also globally for maintaining highest standards in technical, ethical areas and for sustaining stringent examination and education standards.
In the Chartered Accountancy course, we teach our students accounts to help Board of Directors get accounts of their companies prepared. We also teach them corporate laws to help the board ensure legal compliance. The course also teaches them strategic financial management, information technology. Not only this, we also teach them management skills to help the management to do business in an efficient manner. This makes our members a complete business solution provider.
Not only the hardcore technical knowledge, but the soft skill going together make a person more stronger and which understands the business, the need of the stakeholders, adding value towards the development itself as an entrepreneur. That makes a professional successful entrepreneur.
The chartered accountancy course training itself is a very rigorous training where you learn how to do the business, even how to do the practice, how to manage the accounts and finance. Student who is joining the chartered accountancy course can also do the industrial training. And when you do the industrial training of 1 year or 15 months, it makes difference that what is going on in the industry.
Since 1949, the profession has grown leaps and bounds in terms of members and student base. Keeping up the spirit, the 21st World Congress of Accountants, known as the Olympics of the accountancy profession, is being hosted by ICAI from November 18th to 21st, 2022 at Geo World Centre, Mumbai. Being held for the first time in India, this is one of the most prestigious global events of professional accountants organized under the aegis of the International Federation of Accountants, where a conglomeration of 6,000 delegates from over 130 countries exchange views with other accounting and finance professionals from around the world.
When the pandemic struck,
Yes.
so you faced a lot of challenges.
Yes.
And how did you came out of it?
Yeah. Well, that has been the topic of the town for the last 2 years
Yeah.
now. No, it was a massive challenge. When the lockdown was announced in that particular quarter, our revenue dropped by 95%. So, it couldn't
My
have been,
God.
it couldn't have been, more intense and more challenging situation. Now the recovery has started to happen. But during that tough time, I think, it is effectively a crisis management, right?
And friends, it's also very much true that life is not what happens to us, because it is just 10% what happens to us. 90% is how we react to that situation. So when this pandemic struck, a lot of things were there in front of us, but 90% how we reacted to that situation, it gave us the strength of winning that challenge, basically. So,
That's true.
sir, the good news is that you people have won that challenge.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true, by the way. Very well said, because how you react is becomes super, super critical. At that point in time, if there is one thing that people should not or learn not to do, is that you should not panic.
I think CA degree teaches you a lot about that, because as you said, it gives you the patience.
Yeah, that probably, I didn't think of that angle, but you're right, perhaps.
Yeah. Sir, I would like to ask for your piece of advice for all these aspiring chartered accountants, and of course the ones who have got this degree and they are now just into the practice mode and they're in their articleship mode. So what would be your piece of advice for them?
We all know over the years that, doing a CA program is a lot of hard work, right? And sometimes there could be disappointments along the way as well in that journey, right? And it's a test of patience, maybe at times and
Yes.
so on. So it's dedication, commitment, and patience that is what you required, and focus. And I think if you are into it, just then stay into it and focus, and and rest will fall in place. When you are out of it, I think you're ready to explore the world. Unless you're super clear in your head that, listen, I don't like these things and I only want to be a tax expert, or I only want to
Right.
be an audit expert or an audit partner eventually. And, and those are the choices if you end up making. Those are absolutely great choices. And, luckily, once you've done the program, it does offer you multiple choices. So you're lucky in
Right.
that sense, right? Once you've made that choice, then you should have a long-term sort of vision of that.
Yes.
You don't take a short-term knee-jerk sort of decisions on making switches and the changes. And the other path is that you give yourself some more time. And you say, I'm going to explore the world and let me discover what my ultimate passion and interest is.
Yes.
That gives you more flexibility. You would excel in whatever role that you would end
Discovery
up
that
doing.
leads to adventure.
Yeah, yeah, well said.
So, sir, in which year have you cleared your
92.
CA? 92?
Yes.
So, since then, have you ever met your CA fraternity again, or you have stepped into the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India again?
Well, don't put me on spot on this one. So, I've been meeting all the lot of the CAs, and in fact, one part of the group is actually, our sort of customers as well. I mean, they came to office and then they wanted to do some take the group to some sort of an offsite, etc. I'm sure as consultants, as part of our audit partners, you interact with a lot of the chartered accountants. There is no question about it. But have I? Maybe I'm guilty of not sort of going back to the institute and maybe sort of offer my help in some form or the other.
So that's the reason we are here now. So you are not going to the institute. Institute is here now.
I know, and that is why when he reached out to me and said, why don't you just share your story? And I said, okay, let me just, at least I owe something back to the institute.
Before I say a goodbye to you, I have a special segment which is called Shilpa Bhavna Special.
I see.
So that's a rapid fire round.
I'll give it a shot.
Sir. Yeah. Knowledge or execution? What's your preference?
Both.
Both. Okay. 3 words for a successful entrepreneur.
Passion/hunger. Complete ownership.
Yeah.
And long-term vision.
And Rajesh Mago possesses all these 3?
Well, I don't know about that. You should ask Deep Kalra.
Okay, I'll do that. If I'll ask you one word for Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, what that would be?
Wisdom.
Wisdom. That's so true. That's so true. Thanks a lot for giving your time.
Thanks a lot.
Friends, former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, once said that chartered accountants are the partners in nation building. And yes, nation can't be built in a day. A little progress each day adds up to big results. And these are the qualities of a true leader as well. When he looks for the growth, he also ensures the growth of the people connected to them, the growth of the organization he or she is committed to. After pandemic struck the world, we really look forward to the professionals like CA Rajesh Mago, who are acting as the strong pillars of redeveloping economy. Because with great power comes great responsibility. This is Shilpa Bhavna signing off for today. We'll see you next time in conversation with yet another chartered accountant who is chartering the strength of the nation. Jai Hind.